On the 34th anniversary of Eritrea's independence, President Isaias Afwerki stood before the nation, his words carrying weight and warning. He accused so-called external forces of waging war against Ethiopia and began to list what he called their reckless agendas. Among them, he singled out the ideology of Oromummaa, claiming it does not represent the Oromo people. This remark dangerously frames the Oromo people as a threat in the Horn of Africa, mischaracterizing their identity as a foreign ideology. It blatantly ignores the Oromo people's century-long struggle against imperial conquest, colonial occupation, denial of agency, and ongoing marginalization. What is Oromummaa? At its core, self-determination means that only a people can define their identity. The shaping of the Oromo identity lies with the Oromo alone, born from their lived realities, cultures, traditions, and histories. Oromummaa is the common national identity of the Oromo people, deeply rooted in their language, Afaan Oromo, their rich cultural heritage, and their shared history. It is not the creation of elites, nor is it a foreign ideology imposed from outside. Oromummaa stands for peace, Nagaa, justice, Sayara, and egalitarian governance. These values have flourished for centuries under the Gadaa system, an ancient indigenous democratic tradition. Oromummaa is a living testament to the Oromo people's enduring pursuit of dignity and self-definition. Contrary to the legendary narrative about Ethiopia as an ancient unified nation-state, history testifies that modern Ethiopia was forcefully cobbled together through imperial conquest. Emperor Menelik II subjugated southern nations through military and economic support from European powers such as Britain, France, Russia, and Italy in the late 19th century. The reversal of fortunes due to modern weaponry from European powers resulted in the violent colonization and occupation of Oromia. The Oromo and other southerners were not assimilated peacefully, but annexed, massacred, enslaved, driven off their lands, and their cultures obliterated. The Gadaa system was replaced by a feudal hierarchical form of governance. Oromo culture was suppressed and Afaan Oromo excluded from education, government, and public life. This was not a process of nation-building, it was colonization. Their identity was demonized, their social institutions targeted, and their lands and resources exploited for the benefit of northern elites. Marginalization was built into the fabric of the Ethiopian state and continues today under the cover of modern politics. President Isaias Afwerki and his government have played a significant role in reinforcing Ethiopia's exclusionary imperial order, a fact often overlooked in mainstream discussions. During the long struggle against the Derg regime, Eritrean nationalist movements, including the EPLF, did not stand in solidarity with southern nations seeking justice and self-determination. Instead, they formed strategic alliances with Tigrayan and Amhara elites, each pursuing their own nationalist agendas. This cooperation actively undermined the aspirations of the Oromo and other marginalized groups. Even after Eritrea gained independence in 1993, the Asmara administration continued to support successive Ethiopian governments, including the TPLF-led EPRDF and, more recently, Abiy Ahmed's administration, in their efforts to deny and marginalize the southern nations. Stories abound of Eritrean leaders exerting control over exiled liberation fronts they hosted after the 1998 Ethio-Eritrea War, revealing a pattern of dominance rather than genuine solidarity. Eritrean elites have consistently benefited from the marginalization of the Oromo. By helping maintain centralized power structures in Ethiopia, Eritrea has entrenched its regional influence, manipulating events through elite alliances. President Isaias's propaganda targeting the Oromo must be understood within this context. The rise of Oromo political power threatens the imperial Ethiopian state structure that has long privileged northern elites, including Eritreans themselves. Eritrea's resistance to Oromo empowerment is not rooted in concern for Ethiopia's people. Rather, it is driven by the fear that a sovereign Oromia would dismantle the traditional system that has enabled Eritrean elites to maintain their strength and influence in the Horn of Africa. The prospect of a sovereign Oromo authority could shift the region's power balance, challenging the status quo that Eritrea has so carefully preserved. A peaceful Horn of Africa can only be built on the basis of mutual respect, democratic governance, and decolonized international relations. Nations annexed by force must be granted the right to self-determination, whether it leads to sovereign independence or a genuine federal system. Coexistence should not be opposed but must be voluntary and based on equality. In this vision, the Horn of Africa can become a region of cooperation, not coercion. Unity should arise from shared values, not military alliances or imposed political arrangements. President Isaias must remember Eritrea's own struggle for self-determination. The same yearning for freedom that drove the Eritrean people resonates in the Oromo struggle. To dismiss this shared aspiration is not only short-sighted but a betrayal of the ideals Eritrean freedom fighters once championed, and for which so many sacrificed their lives. The path to lasting peace begins not with denial but with decolonization. The Oromo pursuit of liberty should not be feared but embraced, for it is a step toward a more just and inclusive Horn of Africa.